Shedeur Sanders, you are a Steeler. Now, I've never seen Mike Tomlin come out and praise a quarterback draft prospect before the draft as much as he's done with Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur Sanders, if you really think about it, is the perfect Steeler for Mike Tomlin. He clicks all the buttons here for him. Highly talented, off the field problems, media always getting into it and giving Shedeur Sanders, hey, who does that remind you of? Antonio Brown. And who did Mike Tomlin always back through thick and thin? Antonio Brown. This man is literally Antonio Brown, back before the CTE, back before the Vontaze Burfict hit, back before he went insane. As a quarterback, he really is highly talented, problems off the field, has an ego, but the thing is, the Pittsburgh Steelers should not hesitate to get Shedeur Sanders. And if they come out of this draft, no matter how they do it, with Shedeur Sanders getting selected, then they've got an A+ and scammed the whole league, because we all know the Pittsburgh Steelers are a franchise quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contenders. And that's always been the problem with the Steelers, because Mike Tomlin will not give up his 500 plus record that he's got going on, where every single season he has a winning record. He never has a losing record. So, if you could get a top 5 pick, just talent-wise, in Shedeur Sanders, who should be going in the top 5 at 21, come out of the draft when you have the 21st pick and don't even have to trade up into the top 5, take that as a win. Just take him. Just take him, because in all honesty, Shedeur Sanders to me is a top 5 player, talent-wise and need-wise, because the media has scared off these teams. Genuinely, look, the Browns and the Giants should have gone in grading Shedeur Sanders without listening to the media, but the thing is, the media doesn't like his dad. They don't like his dad, and they don't like that he resembles his dad in many cases, and he's been ride or died for his dad, which I don't blame him. That's your dad. And the media just hates it. They hate it, and they've absolutely have destroyed his draft stock to the point where he's being mocked at 21, or even worse, out of the first round. Talent-wise, pure raw talent, quarterback-wise, there's an argument that he's better than Cam Ward. There's genuinely an argument. But we've got people grading Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. They don't understand. Shedeur Sanders is literally, dare I say, the Patrick Mahomes of this draft, being overlooked. But if you just go off raw talent and potential, this man is literally, you could argue, the best quarterback in this draft class. Because he does what many of these quarterbacks lack. And the problem with Georgia quarterbacks, Alabama quarterbacks, is they have the best players. Roster top to bottom, they have the top 5 recruits. They got 5-star recruits all over the starting lineup and in the bench as well. But when you see Colorado, yeah, you had, Travis Hunter and a couple other prospects. But genuinely, he would have to create most of his offense. He didn't have a run game. He didn't have an O-line. He had a couple receivers. The defense wasn't all that. And he would have to create most of his offense. He would have to, be the focal point of the points being put up on the board. He could not rely on an elite running back. He didn't have Gianti or anything like that. He was literally the reason why they would win and lose games. And that is great development for his game. And personally, if I was the Titans, I'm going Shedeur Sanders. But everybody's been scared off by Dion and the media. But the Pittsburgh Steelers can land him at 21. Absolutely. But I feel like you're going to have to trade up. Because I understand, we've got the Saints who are apparently writing off Shedeur Sanders, and they are heavy on Jackson Dart. So, let's say that's true, because I think it's true due to Adam Schefter coming out and saying that they don't want Shedeur, they want Jackson Dart, as well as after the meeting that the Saints had, Jackson Dart comes and visits the Saints with their new head coach, who has worked heavily, had a lot of success with Jalen Hurts. And then after that, Jackson Dart asked, who do you resemble your game to? Who do you look up to? He says, I look up to Jalen Hurts. So after that meeting with former OC of the Eagles, who's worked a lot with Jalen Hurts, loves Jalen Hurts, had a Super Bowl because of Jalen Hurts, and says, you know what? I resemble that quarterback. That just means to me, put the puzzle pieces together, he's going to be a Saint, because he's going to be going to, the former OC of Jalen Hurts. So, right here, Cam Ward going number 1. That's definitive. That's, definite. Number 2 and 3 will not be quarterbacks. The Browns came out and, traded for Kenny Pickett. They've signed, Flacco as well. Their quarterback room is more than full. They're gonna come out and get best player available. It's gonna be a toss up between Abdul Carter if they want to stack up the D line with Myles Garrett, or do they go out and get a potential generational talent in Travis Hunter? And then whoever's left will go to the Giants, because the Giants also stacked up the quarterback room. They re-signed DeVito. They went out and got Russell Wilson, and then they actually went out and got Jameis Winston. Quarterback room full. And there's also a clip of Shedeur Sanders saying that he would not be able to be in a locker room with Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson doing all these preaching and all these, pre-game speeches. So that kind of turns off the Giants right there. And, that locker room is going to have some inspirational speeches, while Malik Neighbors is absolutely, face palming himself because he wants a proper quarterback to have a good duo with, because he's putting up record numbers with, 5 different quarterbacks in a single season. Imagine if he got Shedeur Sanders. He would have 2K yards. He would be putting up, Justin Jefferson numbers when he had Kirk Cousins. That's the type of numbers he'd be putting up. But number 4 won't be a quarterback, obviously. Drake May's there, probably O-line. Number 5, it's originally the Jags. Right here they have a trade. Jags aren't going to be drafting a quarterback because they gave Trevor Lawrence a lot of money. They believe in Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has given them playoff success. Number 6, well, that could be Gianti if obviously that trade doesn't happen in this mock. And they just extended Geno Smith. They brought in Pete Carroll. They want to win now, and they're going to select the player that's going to help in the win now. If it's an O-lineman, Gianti, whatever it is. They are in a win-now mode, and they don't want to develop. As much as Shedeur Sanders has a relationship with Tom Brady, they are in a win-now mode, and they're comfortable with Geno Smith because they're giving him a lot of money. So, Jets all in on Justin Fields. Bryce Young's going to get an opportunity here. He's turned it around the second half of the season. Jackson Dart to the Saints. Everything's pointing towards that. Bears just got Caleb Williams, which they are originally at 10. 11, they got Brock Purdy. 12, they have Dak Prescott. Now, this is the place where I think Shedeur could potentially get selected, because Shedeur Sanders, the Sanders family have ties with the Cowboys prior, right? And I understand the 49ers too, but they have a quarterback that's taken them to the Super Bowl before. But Dak Prescott doesn't even have a playoff win, okay? Or doesn't have much playoff success, to be fair. Not much playoff success. And, I personally, I think they could select Shedeur, possibly. Now, we know that, Jerry Jones has a great relationship with Dak Prescott. But if anybody's going to select Shedeur before the Steelers, I'm saying the Cowboys. So that's why I'd potentially try to trade with the Panthers or Jets, since they're full on in with the quarterback situation they have. Because aside from the Cowboys, you've got Tua. Apparently the Colts could be, pushing out Anthony Richardson, but I'm not sure there. I'm genuinely not sure. I don't think they would go for Shedeur. I think Anthony Richardson's too young to be given up on yet, and he's showed potential. Falcons have Kirk Cousins, and they have Penix. You've got Kyler Murray over here at the Cardinals. You got Joe Burrow. You just gave Sam Darnold a big contract. You've got Baker Mayfield. Bo Nix just took you to the playoffs. So everybody, even down here, nobody but the Rams possibly could be selecting them, because everybody has their franchise quarterback in Herbert, Love. You're going to move forward with J.J. McCarthy. You've got C.J. Stroud. Obviously here you've got Stafford, but you could potentially look to put someone behind Stafford. Lamar. This is where it's just all franchise QBs. So genuinely, Steelers, if you want to get Shedeur, I would say try to make a trade with the Jets or the Panthers. But if Shedeur falls to 21, you select them. Who cares? Because you've got screwed by Aaron Rodgers. You've got a great duo. Shedeur even said, whatever quarterback gets to throw to George Pickens and DK Metcalf, you're going to be blessed with a great wide receiver duo. And he wants to be the one that's blessed. So please, Pittsburgh Steelers, do not fumble this. Find out a way to get Shedeur Sanders. And I'm telling you, you will go from being a mid-team who makes the playoffs and gets 9 to 10 wins to an actual team that could get 12 wins and contend for the Super Bowl. But anyways, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Where do you think Shedeur Sanders is going to go? Personally, I'm going to say Pittsburgh Steelers. Check the odds updated. We're the favorites, man. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.